Have you noticed something interesting happening in the workplace these days? The people with the most influence aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest titles. It's often the youngest person in the room who shifts the entire conversation. Not because they have authority, but because they bring a different kind of energy, fresh perspectives. They're not afraid to ask the obvious questions everyone else is avoiding. Meanwhile, senior and seasoned executives with decades of experience wonder why their teams seem disengaged despite having all the traditional markers of power. So, what's really going on here? What creates influence in today's world? Hey, I'm Raju, and today I want to share what I have learned about the hidden force behind real influence and why everything, well, maybe many things, you think you know about may be outdated. About once a year, I actually do a solo retreat with myself, go away somewhere, either hike or trails, just me and my thoughts and what have you. So today is day one of my solo retreat here up in North Carolina. Going back to the conversation about influence. In my leadership roles at Morgan Stanley, I thought I understood influence. I had the title, the team, the budget, the authority. And when I spoke, people listened. And when I made decisions, well, that was 20 years ago. When I became an entrepreneur and I was in for a rude awakening. None of that was real influence. That was just positional authority. So over the next few years, I had to learn what influence really meant, sort of the hard way. And here's what I discovered. Real influence has nothing to do with your title, your expertise, or your ability to persuade people. So often influence is confused with influencing people in a way that you persuade them. This is about something totally different. So let's talk about what influence really is. Real influence is about connection. And I don't mean networking or relationship building in the traditional sense. I mean genuine human connection. Think about the most influential person in your life, not your boss or some celebrity, but the person who actually changed how you think or act. Maybe it was a teacher, a mentor, maybe even a friend. I bet these people who influence you never try to influence you at all. They just showed up authentically, consistently, and you found yourself drawn to their energy. You wanted to be around them. You trusted their perspective. That is real influence. It's magnetic, it's not manipulative. So, the three things every human being wants. Every person you encounter, whether it's in business or in life, wants three fundamental things. When you understand this, influence becomes natural to you. First, they want to be seen and heard, not just acknowledged, but truly understood. When someone feels like you really get them, they're naturally drawn towards you. Most people are so focused on getting their own point across that they forget to actually receive the other point of view. But the most influential people I know are incredible listeners. They ask questions that make people think. They reflect back what they hear. They make others feel important. Second, they want to contribute something meaningful. Everyone wants to know their work, their ideas, and that their presence matters. But when you help people see how they're contributing to something bigger than themselves, they become naturally invested. And this is not about giving people busy work or false praise. It's about genuinely recognizing the unique value each person brings and connecting to a larger purpose. They want alignment between their values and their actions. When there's a disconnect between what someone believes and what they're doing, they feel trapped and resentful. And when you help them find that alignment, you become incredibly influential in their life. I'm going to talk to you about energy field. There's something most people completely miss. Your influence is not what you say or do. It's the energy you bring to every interaction. Remember last week when we talked about energy being everything? Well, your energy is constantly affecting everyone around you. When you walk into a room, whether you're raising the energy or you lowering it, when you walk into a room, you're either raising the energy. The most influential people bring what I call high frequency energy wherever they go. I'm not talking about physical rah, rah, rah. People feel better in the presence of people who bring higher frequency energy in what they do. They feel more optimistic, more creative, more confident. You've experienced this. There are people who make you feel smarter just by being around them. Others drain your energy without saying a word. Which one are you in most of those interactions? So, one of the biggest mistakes I see leaders make is trying to be different people in different contexts. One version for their team, one for their boss, another for their family. This is exhausting and it kills your energy and therefore your influence. People can sense when you're not being authentic, even if they cannot articulate it. There's something that feels off. Real influence comes from being the same person everywhere. Your values, your integrity, your core essence, consistent regardless of who you're with. Now, this doesn't mean you don't adapt your communication style. Of course, you speak differently to a 5-year-old than to your board of directors. But the person you are at your core remains consistent and constant. This brings me back to that observation I made earlier about younger people in the workplace. Why do they often have more influence than their experience level would suggest? Because they have not learned to be inauthentic yet. They haven't developed all the filters and personas that we think we need in professional settings. They ask the questions everyone else is thinking about. They challenge assumptions, not because they're rebellious, but because they genuinely do not understand why things have to be done a certain way. They bring fresh energy to tired conversations. They're not weighed down by that's how we always have done it thinking. This doesn't mean experience doesn't matter. Of course it does. But influence is not about what you know. It's about how you connect with others and help them potentially see new possibilities. Most professional relationships are shallow. Surface level interactions about tasks, deadlines, all transactional. But influence actually happens in the depth. So it's the depth of your connection. This means having conversations that actually matter. Instead of how's the project going, what's most exciting about this project for you? Or perhaps what would make this role more fulfilling for you? It means being willing to be vulnerable yourself, sharing your own challenges, uncertainties, learning moments. When you are human with people, they are human back. I thought I had to be the person with all the answers. That's what leadership meant, right? Well, the moment I started admitting that I didn't know something, when I started asking for help, my influence changed dramatically. People trusted me more because I was real with them. Your sphere of influence extends far beyond the people you directly work with. It includes your family, your community, even strangers on the street that you interact with briefly at a grocery store, perhaps. And here's what's powerful. When you start showing up with authentic influence in one area of your life, it naturally extends and expands to others. The energy you cultivate in your professional life affects your personal relationships and vice versa. I've seen this practically with many leaders who've been with companies for 20, 30 years in their roles. And if there is one part of their life that's changed or transformed, it certainly impacts the other. Deep listening, genuine interest in others, consistent authenticity will make you influential everywhere. Let's talk about the ripple effect, which I often discuss. There's something fascinating about real influence. You often don't see it's happening. It's like dropping a stone in a pond and the ripples go out in ways you never expected. Maybe you have a genuine conversation with someone about their career aspirations, and then 6 months later, they make a bold move that transforms their life. You probably don't even know or won't even know that you played a role. Or maybe you consistently show up with positive energy in team meetings, and gradually the entire team's dynamic shifts. People start bringing more creativity, more honesty, more engagement, assuming they're getting from you that curiosity and honest, genuine wonder and the idea of being helpful. You didn't manage this change, you influenced it through your consistent energy. Well, that's how real influence works, my friend. It's subtle, it's powerful, and it creates lasting change. Let's talk about some practical things that you can take away. Usually it's 1, 2, 3 things. Let's do an influence audit. This week, I want you to identify 3 key relationships where you want to deepen your influence. For each of those people, honestly ask yourself, how well do I really know what matters to them beyond their job responsibilities? Am I helping them see how they contribute meaningfully to our shared goals? Do they experience me as consistent and authentic in all our interactions? Here's another daily connection practice. In every significant interaction coming up this week, try this approach. 1, start with genuine curiosity about the other person. 2, listen not just to their words, but to the energy behind them. 3, reflect back what you're hearing before adding your perspective. And 4, ask one question that helps them think differently about their situation. So, an energy check exercise. Before important meetings or conversations, pause and ask yourself, what energy am I about to bring to this interaction? If it's low frequency energy, such as frustration, stress, agenda driven rushing, take a 3-second pause to shift to something higher. Maybe gratitude for the opportunity that you're going to connect with somebody, and be genuinely curious about what you might learn. See, real influence isn't about getting people to do what you want. It's about creating connections where everyone involved becomes more than they were before. When you focus on truly seeing people, helping them contribute meaningfully, and showing up authentically, influence seems effortless. You're not pushing your agenda, you're creating an environment where the best ideas and actions naturally emerge. So the leaders I work with who embrace this approach find that their influence problems disappear. They're not trying to convince or motivate anyone anymore. They're simply connecting at a level that makes extraordinary results possible, actually inevitable. And here's the beautiful thing. This approach works whether you're 25 years old or 65, whether you're an intern or a CEO. Age and experience can certainly add wisdom, but influence, that's available to anyone who's willing to show up authentically and connect genuinely with others. Now, if what I've covered today resonates with you and you're ready to dive deeper into living from your authentic purpose rather than external pressures, I put together a course with my colleague Caroline, Purpose Over Pressure. It's currently available and on sale. You can find it at livemasterminds.com/courses. It is designed for executives and leaders who want to make that shift from operating out of stress and external expectations to leading from their true purpose and influence. Next week, I'll talk about productivity. No, not the kind you think. We'll explore how to accomplish more by doing less, but why your emotional frequency determines your effectiveness more than any system or strategy ever could. Until then, pay attention to the energy and authenticity that you're bringing to your relationships. You might be surprised how quickly influence shifts when connection deepens. This is Raju. Stay bold and stay conscious, my friend.